Dionisio at the plate. He's over 2 today. Swakowski, the big right-hander, lets it go. It's right down Broadway. Dionisio lets it fly, and it's raining now.
It's time for Rain Delay Theater with Jeremy Dionisio and Jack Swakowski.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rain Delay Theater, the show where two bums talk about other bums at baseball games. I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
And I'm Jack Swakowski.
We are back here for episode number 316 after a week off. Just a lot to attend to in life, but it allowed for Jack and myself, either together or separately, to hit the ballpark, do some graphing, check out some new stadiums. So yeah, we have kind of like a mixed bag here to talk about this week from just various things that happened over the last couple weeks, at the ballpark. So
yeah, Jeremy, it is episode 316. We just had 312, which was the Chicago episode. Now we've got the Stone Cold Steve Austin episode here with 316.
That's right. Which I don't know if we've said it on the podcast, but I was at that event.
Yeah, in Milwaukee, right?
Yep, it was King of the Ring. Was it 95? Was it
96 maybe?
That sounds 95. That sounds right. I feel 95 sounds early, but
yeah.
But yeah, I was there at what arena did we figure out it was? It was like the Mecca arena.
Yeah,
right?
okay. It was at the old arena, so now known as Panther Arena, and I think it's maybe categorized as a landmark now. So that arena is never going to get torn down. They tore the Bradley Center down, and that was where WWE eventually started holding their events when they got bigger and could sell out a bigger arena. But so this one was at the Mecca. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, it was. I think you've kind of described what the locals referred to it as, but it was definitely a relic, even at that point.
Sure. Do you remember when he'd had that promo, like when he said that?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, because he beat Jake the Snake Roberts, who was like my all-time favorite wrestler, and I like Stone Cold too, but it's just that's just what happened. And then I remember, like, I feel in my mind's eye, I haven't watched that pay-per-view since it happened. Actually, it would be kind of interesting to go back and find that, because I think most of them are on like Netflix or Peacock at this point.
Sure.
But it would be cool to go back and watch that one, because in my memory, I feel like I was sitting on the far side of the ring, and he beat Jake the Snake, and he walked over to like some platform or something, and Jake was being like helped out, and that's when he did the spot. And I mean, I was I remember being like kind of like bummed that Jake lost, but it was just like you could kind of feel like the mounting hype that was Stone Cold. So it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, definitely one of the most historic moments in the history of wrestling. Ultimately, maybe something to do in the off season. We could rewatch that pay-per-view.
That would be cool. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Jeremy, where do you want to start with this? We got a few things. I think should we start with yours first and the Angels?
Yeah, I don't have the date in front of me, but
okay.
When the White Sox, when the Angels were in town to play the White Sox, I caught a game. It was I think it was one of those Wednesday. Yeah, it was one of those Wednesday. It was maybe April 29th, I think. One of those Wednesday day games. I think I caught the game before going into work that day. So because it was a noon game, so I had plenty of time to catch the game and make it to work. So I decided to graph, and I truly did not anticipate anyone being on the field. I think it was the end of a 3-game series. It was a getaway day, 12-10 start, day game after night game. I really didn't anticipate anyone being there. So I kind of I dilly-dallied just a little bit getting there. So I missed Gates, but I got there maybe less than 10 minutes after, maybe 7 minutes after Gates opened. I ran down to the spot at Rate, and of course Dennis was there, as well as his cronies. So Terry was there, who we see a lot at Cubs usually. And there was actually a moment where I don't know if it was Soler or something, I think the other guy who was there, who his name is Steve, and we've talked about him before. He doesn't look like a Steve, for sure. But he said something about Soler. He's like, oh, does Terry need Soler? And Dennis goes like, when was there a Cub that Terry didn't need? Which is pretty funny. Just a little insight on that trio of guys. Yeah. They're like the the senior version of me, you, and Chris, I guess. but yeah, which makes one of us have to be Dennis, but I don't know who is. But so yeah, they were there. The three of them were there, and there was also the guy who I think I don't know if he's the guy who's like Anthony's cousin or not, but he was there, and I think me and him kind of gravitated a little more towards each other. We were kind of like, he was helping me out because he had the spot, but I had more cards of guys, so he would kind of like let me get in there to get guys. So he was very cool. I don't know his name, but we've seen him before. Yeah. Honestly, it was like it was a haul. Like I cleaned up. I think I got 7 autographs. Maybe I got 10 that day. It was crazy, way more than I anticipated. I think the highlight though came right at the beginning, which is I ran in there to the spot, and the guys were occupying all the prime spots, but I saw John Gibbons sitting on the bench there, just sitting at the end of the bench, just chilling basically. They were taking infield, I think, the Angels, and I went up to Terry and I was like, have you guys called for Gibbons yet? I didn't even ask if they got Gibbons. I just said, did you call for Gibbons yet? And he's like, yeah, we did. And I'm like, did he sign? And they're like, yeah, he did. And I was like, whoa, really? And so I'm like, do you mind if I get in there? And he's like, sure. And I got in, and I'm like, hey, John, do you got time for one more? And he came right over and he signed for me. And he actually did 2 of 2. I had a 1985 Donruss player card of him, and then like what is this, 2006 manager card, and they're really cool. Like he's holding a bat in both pictures. It almost seemed like he was kind of trying to recreate the 1985 card, and he hit them both. So that was pretty cool. And then he went back and he sat down for a while, and eventually he went out in the field to maybe like help pick up balls or something, but he was like just chilling, doing like almost nothing. I'm like, I hope Perry Minsacian doesn't see that, because right. I'm like, what is this guy getting paid for? But but yeah, so he signed, and like I was gobsmacked. Just I think we even talked about it in the Angels episode. It's like he seems like a guy who's like never gonna sign, and
he had no interest ever in signing at the Bus.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll have to amend that to the Bus, because I guess I caught him at the right time. So
sure.
It was nice to knock that off. I know, Jack, you want him just as bad as I do. So
yeah, yeah. Maybe inside, if that staff doesn't get broken up, which it might after how they're doing, and then there's going to be a lockout next year. Always a possibility.
Yeah, and he's getting up there, but you never know. So yeah. Yeah, I think, that was like the biggest thing. I got a lot of pictures were out there. Let me just go through I caught Oswald Peraza and Teodoso right at the beginning. But I did also get Adam Eaton, which was another guy that we wanted. He was on the field. He was one of the last people to come off the field, and he came over and he signed for the kids first, which, given his history with Drake LaRoche, kind of rings true. So he signed for the kids, and he was being very chummy with them. And then we came over and he's like, I got one each for you guys. And he signed one each for the adults. So nice. Better than nothing, as we'll hear later when we talk about the Red series. But right. But yeah, nice to knock him out too. And I think the last thing to say from that was Logan O'Hoppe was there. He had just gone on the IL with like a broken wrist, I think. He was there, surprisingly. He had like a brace on his wrist, but not a cast. And he was talking to Anthony Kay for a while. And once he came in, we did call for him to sign, and he goes like, sorry guys, I write with my left hand, and he had like his hand, like that was the hand that he broke. So wow. I was speculating that. I'm like, is he right-handed? Does he write right-handed? And then he came over and he said that. So it was a good excuse for him to not have to sign.
Sure.
But yeah, so we didn't get him, and that was, probably one of the better excuses you can have as a player, is that my signing hand is broken. So
Right.
So yeah, so that was those were, honestly, that was the highlights there. Dennis was Dennis was Dennis, but it was so fast paced, like the White Sox always is that there wasn't much to kind of get hung up on.
Yeah, that sounds good, Jeremy. And I definitely think that the Eaton and Gibbons ones are pretty awesome. The Eaton one, you showed me the autographs that you have, and that Eaton autograph looks really good too. So that was a real score. Yeah,
it showed up pretty nice on. I got him on this Heritage White Sox card, and it's kind of a funny card. So I was glad to knock that out.
Nice. Anything else from the Angels?
No, there was a moment. I think I stepped in to try. Let's see. Did I get someone? I might have been getting Chase Silseth or something. I did step in there at some point to get somebody, and I kind of took Terry's spot because Terry didn't need him, and then I lingered for like a second after I got the autograph, and that Steve guy goes like, "Hey, you got to let him back in." So, I respect the code. So, I did kind of step aside to let him back in, but I didn't want to start any trouble with the three amigos there. So,
sure.
So yeah, it was good, but that was pretty much it.
Nice. Refresh my memory too. Was that a beautiful day that Wednesday? I seem to remember it was really nice out.
It was. There's been so many games since then. I'm trying to remember if it was like what the weather was like for that one. I think it was like 50, like the mid 50s. So it wasn't warm by any means, but it's weird having gone to a lot of these games in the first couple weeks. It's like the difference between 49 and 54 is like a lot, I think. So,
no doubt. I only asked because I guess we're going to move on to the D-backs next. And so I do believe you're right when you said that Wednesday was April 29th, because the game I went to was Friday the 1st. And it was a Friday special. Jeremy, I know you couldn't make it that day, but I just decided to go on a whim. I think I picked up a ticket that morning. It was really cold, though. I mean, it was probably 45 degrees at game time and overcast, so it was not nice out. I rolled up to the right field entrance. And of course, I saw Dennis there. This is almost becoming like a Dennis podcast, but we can't help that he's there every single day. He's just here. So Dennis was there, and of course, he was first in line. And I was a few people back because there weren't that many people in there. But we go in, and I get down to the spot out in right field that we always go to, right where the net ends. And I saw Dennis wasn't there, and I was like, well, where the heck is Dennis? He was actually in line before me. So he comes bursting out of the concourse, pissed as hell, and he's like, "They fucking stopped me. They stopped me, and they made me they searched me all over. They made me strip. They made me take my jacket off. I go into Soldier Field. I go to White Sox. I don't get stopped. Here I get stopped." And he kept complaining about how angry he was. I guess they made him take his jacket off, he was saying. Wow. And he's like, yeah, they kept giving me the wand right by my chest. And he points at his heart. And he's like, I said to the guys, I said, what do you think? I got steel in my heart? Which is funny because it's Dennis. And he probably does. And then he's like, yeah, it couldn't have been my gold chains. My gold chains wouldn't have made it go off, would it? And then he asked me like he wasn't sure. And I was like, geez, I don't know, man. I don't think so. But like, yeah, you couldn't see his gold chains, but I guess he had them on under his jacket and his sweater. And like, man, we've seen that guy with his bling before, dude. He gives like Carson Benj a run for his money. He just loves he just loves to wear this stuff. So anyway, he was throwing a fit about that, and he would actually periodically keep complaining about it throughout Diamondbacks BP.
Yeah.
So the Diamondbacks, some of them were hitting.
Wait, hold on, Jack. Before we move on to that, I want to just say, like, so I'm going to be talking about a Reds game that I did with Dennis as well, and I only interrupt because that popped up when I was there at the game. Because what happened? Yeah, because we walked in. It was the same kind of deal where like I came in, with Dennis and that Steve guy, and Dennis and I both made it to the spot, and Steve was like MIA, and he showed up, and he actually missed one of the autographs, which was one of the big ones. And Dennis was like, "Where were you?" And he's like, "They searched me. I don't know. They searched me." And like, he was like, he was like, man, like that's not right or something.
Yeah.
But later, I think honestly, I think it was even before that. He said something about like strip search, and I'm like, oh hey, I said like, oh hey, that's a nice bonus, when you go through the turnstiles, a little strip search, and then he goes like, yeah, that's why I come here for that. We were kind of joking about it, but yeah, so I can't remember the order in which all that happened, but that's very interesting to hear that backstory.
Oh yeah, because he was totally pissed about that, and like it was one of those things where he would let it go, and then 10 minutes later he would bring it up again. I'm surprised he didn't empathize more with Steve, because like he was, complaining about it endlessly at this D-backs game.
That's funny.
So yeah, interesting to hear that happened with you too. Anyway, we do both get down there, and we did the thing where we're trying to figure out who was on the field, which guys were throwing, which guys were at BP, who's in center field, etc. James McCann was kind of over by the dugout, and I was like, oh, that's McCann. I need him. Have you already gotten him? And Dennis goes, I got him this morning. And I went, oh, did you do the hotel? And he puts his finger up to his lips and he goes, shh, hey, because the more people that know, right? And I was like, I kind of shook my head. It was a total like Dogson, we got Dogson here moment for you Jurassic Park fans. I wanted to be like, look, Dennis, look around us, man. We don't know anybody here. Nobody's eavesdropping on our conversation, and nobody's going to go to the hotel and waste a weekday morning because you got James McCann. Dennis is he's like so secretive about the hotel. He didn't want anybody to hear that we were talking about the hotel. It was just like, Dennis, man, you're paranoid, dude. Nobody's listening to us. But anyway, yeah, he did the hotel in the morning, and he did get James McCann. And McCann did not end up signing when I would call for him a little bit later. So that's still a guy that I need. Ryan Thompson comes over. He walks from the dugout to the bullpen area. And so Dennis and I both needed him. Dennis was like, oh, yeah, he's an asshole. He never stops. And so we called for him. And, Thompson said he would do it after he was finished warming up. So we were like, all right, cool. So Thompson starts to throw. And then there's this guy and this girl. They're probably about 30. But like the guy was just kind of lame, and he was a D-backs fan. And so they come up next to us, and then the guy yells at Thompson, because the Diamondbacks were in Milwaukee last night, the night before that, and these people must have been there. And Thompson had some shirt on that said whatever. Sometimes players wear shirts that say stuff. I can't remember what it said. It doesn't matter. But the guy yells at Thompson. He goes, hey, you were wearing that same shirt yesterday. And Dennis looks at him and he goes, don't say that. And it was pretty funny because it was a dumb thing for the kid to say too. Like I was kind of pissed at him too. I was like, why would you say that? That's stupid. That's just lame.
Yeah.
At one point, there was kind of nothing happening, and this guy's next to me, and he's like, I bought at the Brewers game last night. I bought a pack of Heritage just for $7. And I pulled an autograph from it, and I was like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, just a pack that I bought at the gift shop." And I was like, "Well, whose autograph was it?" And the guy goes, "Oh, I don't know, just some random rookie." It's like, wow, great end to that story, dude. Why did you bring it up if you didn't even know whose autograph you got? So that was lame.
It probably was like Jack Caglione, and he's like, "Oh, I never heard of this guy, Jace."
Dude.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, probably, man. Like this guy didn't know shit. So yeah, that was just annoying. So these people were they were lame. Anyways, so Dennis, there's not much going on. Not many people are signing. Adrian Del Castillo denied us. Another reliever denied us. I can't remember who right now. So Dennis starts going on his second favorite rant, which is about how all of the kids are ruining the autograph experience at Wrigley Field. And for you listeners at home, it's probably the most ironic thing in the world that at Wrigley Field, it's actually the kids who are getting autographs and selling them, and the adults who are the collectors. Like, Jeremy, you, me, Dennis, Steve, Terry, we collect, right? Chris, Chris collects. It's the kids. It's Josh. It's JEJ. They're all the ones who are selling, which is pretty insane, right? Because the players sign for them because they're kids. But anyway, Dennis says, I don't understand. How do all these kids, they're never in school. He goes, I was at the Sox on Wednesday. It was weather day. Today is fucking May Day. They have off every day. It's because all ththese teachers are fucking communists. He says, hey, man, I'm a Democrat, but I'm no fucking socialist. So I was like, yeah, man. I was like, yeah, it sucks, dude. They're never in school. So he's like, they're all selling these autographs, and then they're posting it online, and these guys never want to stop anymore. And that's Dennis's big thing now is that, he thinks all these kids, the kids do post online that they sell, but he thinks the players are seeing it, and now that's why they won't stop to sign at Wrigley, which is a crazy theory. But so he's going on, and he's complaining about this. So Merrill Kelly comes out of the bullpen, and, a success story here. Merrill Kelly signs for us, which is great. That was a good one. He was super nice. With Dennis, he saw Dennis's book, and he says to Dennis, he goes, if you could pick one. And so Dennis pointed to one. I think, Dennis wanted him to rack, but Merrill Kelly wasn't about to do that. Nice. But he was cool. He's got a nice signature, so I was glad to get him because I've never gotten him before. And then Alec Thomas was a little bit more towards the infield by the tarp. So after we got Kelly, we ran in to get Thomas. And, Alec Thomas is one of those guys like Brandon Nimmo or Nico Horner where you actually kind of have to go out of your way not to get him if you're getting autographs. So anyway, whatever. Well, it's like just
that's a good get because that might be one of his last D-backs cards at least because he got DFA'd, I think, right? Yeah.
Oh, so did he get DFA'd? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. They DFA'd him to call up Ryan Waldschmidt, which is it's just sad. I don't know if he's going to clear waivers or let's see. I haven't checked in for a while, but his waiver period should just about be ending. So I actually think the White Sox maybe should sign him just because of his legacy with the team, family legacy.
Yeah, no,
but
that wouldn't be bad. Jeremy, a lot of guys getting like sent down who've been in the majors for a while. Bo Naylor, right? He just got sent down by the Guardians.
I actually missed that one.
Yeah. When the Guardians traded for Patrick Bailey, they sent Naylor to AAA, which is crazy because he'd been in the majors for a few years on the roster. Stephen Vogt said, I was just reading an Athletic article today. He's like, that was my least favorite conversation I've had to have since I got the manager job. You think about this Netflix documentary that they had with the Red Sox. Like, why didn't they have more moments like that? Why was it just highlights?
Right.
You'd really like to know what that conversation was like. Like, did Bo Naylor push back on it? I don't know, but it's always interesting to see when a guy gets sent down like that. But anyway, poor Alec Thomas. Hopefully he can he can resurface. He's a nice guy. But so naturally we moved in to get Thomas, and we just started drifting towards the dugout because that was where most of the action was. A lot of the action had dried up in the outfield. So we're by the dugout now, and of course, JEJ is there, right? Because even though it's a Friday, like they have off at school, and so before Dennis can even say anything, JEJ like preemptively says, "Hey, like we had off of school today, like there's no school," and Dennis goes, "Oh yeah, I know you don't got school. You're off for your communist holiday." And then JEJ and his friends looked at him like they didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and rightfully so. Like, what the hell does he even mean by that? And then he goes, "Yeah, you kids are never in school. That's why you don't learn nothing. Where's Josh? Where's Josh?" And then they're like, "Oh, Josh goes to a different school. He's got school today." And then Dennis goes, "You guys are ruining it. You're ruining it. You're getting these autographs and you're posting them online. You guys think, oh, I don't need a job. No, I'll just bring some jerseys to Wrigley, get those signed." And then the kids, they don't have any response to him, and they're not really kids. I mean, they're older teenagers at this point, but there's nothing for them to say. And so Dennis, there's like a silence, and Dennis goes, "Tell me I'm wrong." And then again. Nothing to say. I think that I think that as human beings we try to make sense of like why things happen, so that like if something good happens, we can try to figure out how to repeat it, and if something bad happens, we can try to figure out how to fix it. So it's like Dennis because like guys aren't signing for Dennis, he's got to come up with a reason for it. And like his reason has become that like it's because of these kids like getting autographs and selling them and posting it online. Like that's why players aren't signing. So if he can just like yell at these kids enough to not do that, he'll like be fixing the problem for himself. But it's like anything else, a lot of it just is random, and guys will sign because they sign, or they won't sign because they won't sign.
Well, and also we've talked about this, but there's no one else aside from those kids who gets more autographs in this city than Dennis does.
No.
Like, he got, he's like the whole team signed about the Orioles. Like he gets like all these guys, like, so like I don't, and then and it's not like he doesn't get the stars. Like, he got Jose Ramirez. He got
Bobby
stars.
Witt last year.
Yeah. So like it's crazy to be in his situation yet still be still complaining about something. Like, like we, I don't think we really have too much. Like, I think comparatively we probably have more to complain about, but like we even do better than a lot of people, and we don't get half the guys, and it's I mean it's just it's funny how it all shakes out. I should mention that JEJ was at this Angels game as well, which was a Wednesday day game. Now this is what's interesting, because he I don't know if I heard him say this or he's posted it on his Instagram, but this game was like some sort of like school outing game for a bunch of schools, and I heard him say like oh, a school field trip came in clutch or whatever. So I'm like, so somehow like just randomly his school actually like had a field trip at the White Sox, and then he went and got a bunch of autographs, and I swear that that Dennis gave him a Trout card to try to get signed. He didn't end up. JJ ended up not getting Trout at this particular game, but I think he got him the 2 games before that in that series. So, I mean, yeah. So it's just all part of the tapestry. It is crazy. Dennis has a point, but he's also crazy. JJ sells but skips school. Like I agree with Dennis. He is like definitely skipping some. He has to be skipping some days, but also Dennis does pretty damn well for himself. So the whole thing is just a circus.
He does, and when he was complaining to me the first time, he goes, "Yeah, all these kids, they got books now. They never used to have books." And it's like, you bring a book, dude. Like, they're just doing what you're doing, and you're complaining about it. And he was also complaining. He's like, yeah, these kids, they come to the hotel now. That big kid, he was at the hotel this morning. Again, you were at the hotel too, dude. Like, you're just complaining about them doing the exact same things that you're doing. So it's you're right, man. It's it's all part of the Dennis experience.
Yeah.
And anyway, Ryan Thompson was out in the outfield. He comes in, and so he did say he'd do it for us. And so we called for him, like, Ryan, can you sign? And he just ignored us. So, he seems tough. He doesn't seem very nice. That was unfortunate. So, yeah, after Thompson ran in, he was one of the last guys. And Dennis was, he goes, all right, well, I'm going to go get my designated driver's soda. And then we parted ways.
Dude, that also came up at the Reds game. Oh my God!
Okay, so you got the soda then too.
Yeah, well, Jack, you know that I get the soda too, right?
Oh yeah,
We haven't really talked about it much. I can just say that this isn't like a big reveal or anything, but we graphed BP for the Reds and we parted ways. It's actually kind of funny. Him and Steve just kind of like were just done with me, and then just kind of just did their own thing, and so I kind of just like, we parted ways, but I was kind of bumming around before first pitch, and I kind of walked around on the main aisle, like the main walkway on like between the 100 and 200 section, and then I went down to home plate, down that entrance to go to like the stand where you get the designated driver soda, and I see Dennis walking up with his soda, and like we passed by each other in the tunnel, and I go like, I was just about to get mine, and he's like, yeah, oh yeah, you're gonna get one, and then he goes like, And he goes like, yeah, I got a whole stack of them at home. He's like, because, for the night games, I don't drink the soda because it keeps me up. So I just, I keep them. I keep them for later. So I got a whole stack of them at home. Dennis was like giving me a lot of backstory on a lot of like minutia of his life at that game, which I'll get into. But yeah, so that was, yeah, that's funny that the designated driver soda came up, man. That is funny.
Yeah, man. It seems like
just for anyone who doesn't. Yeah, no, absolutely. Just for anyone who doesn't know, like, you can go to the fan services window, kind of near home plate, and fill out a little like survey sort of thing, and get a ticket basically for a free like small soda from this one stand. So like it's a nice way to get your caffeine fix for free at a Cubs game when everything costs like $10. So yeah, but that is, and of course Dennis does it, like he'd have to do that for the amount of times he goes to the ballparks.
Right. I should actually try to get in on that now too, because I don't drink at games either. Yeah. Anyway, cool. So all that happened. The game itself was long and cold. But I sat through it. I wasn't able to do the full bus because I actually had to work that night. But I did stay for a little bit, and I got Michael Soroka, who Dennis said signs like a machine, and it's true, he does. He signs everything. So Soroka's got a crazy signature. I did get him. I didn't have a card for him last year when you got him, so that was nice to clean that one up. And then that was it for the D-backs.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the old Vietnam emergence from the smoke of fire when I got to it.
Yeah, right with the hang 10 symbol. Yeah
exactly. I did getaway day for the D-backs on Sunday just because I had a busy weekend. I actually saw They Might Be Giants 3 nights at the Vic Theater here in Chicago, and maybe that's where I got this cold that I'm recovering from. But
sure.
But yeah, so I went Sunday before that, and we did do Saturday. I guess we should I got Ildemaro Vargas, which was kind of a nice one. But getaway day, I was in like the getaway spot, which not a lot of people know about these, at first attempt, like they don't go there first. But one thing that's popped up for getaway day, or just with the visitors bus, I don't know if we've really talked about it much, but adult stupidity has been reassigned to the visitors bus in large part this season.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out if that was a promotion or a demotion, and I think we decided it was a demotion.
I think it is a demotion.
Yep.
I think one of the days I was coming to visit to meet up with you, it might have been for this Reds thing, which we'll talk about next. I was walking in the street, and adult stupidity flashed me with his flashlight, and was kind of telling me, like, I was still walking over, but he was like kind of flashing. I don't know if that was his way of saying hi or what, but he flashed another guy, and the guy like wouldn't respond, and he kept flashing him when it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, man. I don't know. He is friendly with us, but we still haven't understood the structure of what their reporting structure is. We still haven't even found out what happened to Flotation Tank. Although I have my theories on that, but we can get into that some other time.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I still haven't asked. So yeah, haven't had the right moment. But so basically, I've gotten chased out of the good spot for getaway day before. In recent times, there was a time where no one said anything, but there was a couple times last year that I got chased out. Excuse me. A couple times last year that I got chased out. I went over there this time, and I knew that I was gonna perhaps have limited time. Like I might only be able to get one guy, and then adult stupidity would be all over me. And that's exactly what happened. But as a follow up to your story, Ryan Thompson was the first guy that I encountered. I asked if he could sign, and he denied. He said, "Sorry, man, I got to get on the bus or something." Mm-hmm. And so I didn't get him. And then the next guy out was Taylor Clark. And I called him over, and he signed a card that I've been carrying around for a couple years. So that was cool. I got him. It was a Tops Now card from the game, from like his debut, I think, in the game I was at. And then as soon as I got him, Adult Stupidity comes over, and he's like, he goes like, all right, guys, I'm going to need you to get in the front of the bus for autographs. And I'm like, oh, okay, front. Okay. And then he like looked at me and he's like, hey, how you doing? And he smiled. He gave me like the biggest smile.
Nice.
Which was, yeah, it was funny. But it was still like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Get to the front now. You know, it was
Sure.
like, you know, no love was lost there. So it was kind of funny, and it did bone me for the rest of like D-backs getaway day. So there was definitely some guys that I lost out on because of that. But it is what it is. It's just it's frustrating. But with Adult Stupidity, your hands are tied. There's like,
Oh yeah.
you know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So
No
so,
wiggle
you know,
room. Yeah.
no. And so I guess just like going forward, I am hoping that Adult Stupidity gets his way, you know, earns his way back in the good graces or something, and gets back to the Cubs side, because we don't need him on the visitors bus, especially for getaway day.
No.
So to be continued on that. But yeah, Jack, the next game that we were at was the Reds. I think this was this day 2 of the series? Or day 1? I
This
can't
was
remember.
so this was Monday, Jeremy. I know that because I went on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and then you went
Right.
on Thursday afternoon, and neither
That's
of
right.
us went on Monday.
Right, that's right. And yeah, this was about the last day. That game might have also, I don't think that was a walk-off, but they did lose that first game.
And there was a
then
rain
you-
delay on that Monday, right? Because like the game
That's-
started
yeah.
late. Yep.
That's right. Yep, that's
Mm-hmm.
right. And then you were at the walk-off games. But we showed up, and before you showed up, I was there, and JEJ was there at the bus. And for some reason, he went up to me, and he's like, hey, do you think Ellie will sign here or at the hotel? And he's like, I'm trying to decide what my better shot is. And I'm like, you always get the guys at the hotel, man. Like, I don't know why you even come here. Like, just, you know
Yeah.
that players will sign at the hotel. And it turns out that he had already gotten Ellie at the hotel. So I don't know why he was asking me that question, unless he was like trying to play mind games with me and rub it in or something. But
Sure.
but I was talking to him, and then by the time you showed up, he had already left to go to the hotel. So, and then spoiler alert, he did get Ellie later on. So,
Unbelievable.
yeah. So, it, you know, the parade continues, but there was this old guy there, and he just seemed kind of like a yokel, like a Reds yokel, and he was wearing like a straw hat, which didn't help his case at all. But he overheard me and JEJ talking, and then he asked JEJ, he's like, oh yeah, so the hotel, so what, do they stay at the Westin? And JEJ goes like, man, I'm not gonna say, you know, man. And then the guy goes, oh, well, he's like, okay, well, I mean, I used to do it, so, you know, and they always stayed at the Westin, and so yeah, so JJ left or whatever, and then this guy, Jack, you did show up, and he
Yep.
pretty much asked you the same questions. Like, he asked you about the hotel, and I forget what else he asked you, but
He mentioned the Westin too. He's like, "Hey, do they stay at the
Yeah.
Westin?" And I legitimately didn't know. Maybe he thought I was being cagey like JEJ, but I was like, "Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
man."
Yeah, right. I don't like this guy. I don't know if he was. It seemed like he was just trying to make conversation, because he didn't seem like he was about to head to the hotel. And
No,
I
no.
suppose if JJ was older and realized that, he might have known that. But yeah. So it was funny, and that guy did stick around for a little bit, but he was trying to get Ellie on a baseball or whatever, and I think
Yep.
he asked us if we thought Ellie would sign, and you know, I told him, I'm like, I'm the only adult who's ever gotten it, who's gotten him at the bus. So yeah, so that happened, but I think like let me talk about this kid really quick, because I'd rather talk about this other guy more. But there was this little kid there, and he was with his parents, and he was like, I don't know, 7-8 years old or something. And he was trying to get autographs, and we were calling guys over. We did get some guys, I think. I'm trying to see who we got at the bus. We got Brian Hayes and Tyler Stevenson.
Yep.
I ended up getting Chase Petty, who has this crazy autograph. It's one of the craziest autographs I've ever gotten in person. It looks like he just took the side of his marker and just like scribbled, like tried to like use up all the ink in my marker. Crazy autograph. But so we got all those guys, and so did this kid. But this kid also called for other people, and his dad was an idiot. His dad called Will Benson Brian, I think.
Yeah, I could understand if someone called Will Benson Chris Benson, because there used to be a Chris Benson. But Brian is just that doesn't make any sense.
No. And then I heard him say that, and I'm just like I go like Will, and then like
yep.
I think the kid turned back to the dad and was like, his name's Will, Dad. And then he goes like, oh well, that's his first name or something, or like Brian's his first name or something. Like I'm like, what the? So the reason why these parents were annoying is because I heard the mom say to somebody like, oh yeah, well having a kid here helps. She's like, maybe the players, they hear a kid's voice, they're more likely to come over, not a bunch of adults yelling. And I was like, it wasn't quite the like which we've heard before, which people saying like, these adults are ruining it for the kids. It wasn't quite that, but it kind of had that undertone to it. And to which Dennis, and this is one note where I'll agree with him, even though it does serve me as well, but it's like, hey, we're the ones who call them over. Like we're the ones who know the players, not this idiot kid's dad who's calling Will Benson Brian, who I assume he meant Brian Hayes, who's also like the other black guy on the team. It's like, dude, like not only are we calling the guys over, we're also not like making a racial faux pas to these guys. So like, just let's keep things in perspective here. So anyway, it was super annoying. The kid ended up getting Emilio Pagan and Sal Stewart. Mm-hmm. Now he called Pagan, and Pagan came over, and he goes like, I'm only signing for the kid. And he signed for the kid, and he walked off, whatever. And then Sal Stewart came over, he signed for the kid, and then we called for him, and then he kind of put his hands up like a prayer, like hands, and he's like, thank you, and then just like turned around and got on the bus. But after he got Pagan, who was the first guy to come over, the kid goes like, after he didn't sign for us, the kid goes like, ooh, he's like, ooh, one for me that no one else got. And then when Sal Stewart didn't sign for us, he goes like, oh, that's two for me that no one else got. And it was very like kid, like mouth babble, whatever. Like, he wasn't, I honestly don't think he was like trying to rub it in, but like it was more just like an observation or something, but like it was definitely annoying. It was what it was. That happens, that happens. But it was really the parents that like were like, annoying me. And also the kid dropped his ball at one point.
Oh yeah.
And,
he did,
yeah. And it went like far, like by the bus, and there was a security guard around, and the kid just goes like, hey, my ball. Hey, can you get my ball? Or like, hey, I dropped my, no, I don't think he said, can you get my ball? He's like, hey, I dropped my ball. And the kid and the guy went over and handed it back to him. But like, no, like, sorry, no, please, no, like,
thank you.
Nothing. And it all seemed to vibe with, what the parents were putting out there. So it was annoying on many levels, I guess.
Yeah, little brat, and hey man, don't gloat if you get an autograph that nobody got. Just act like you've been there before, right? We don't need excessive celebration. So yeah, that was pretty annoying. I didn't hear all that, Jeremy, because you were closer to him, but that's not right. Pagan was weird vibes too. Like F that guy.
Yeah.
I know he got hurt the night after that, so obviously that's unfortunate. You don't want to see that, but like. There were like three of us there. It was like you, me, maybe one other guy next to me, and the kid. And it's like, to just say, oh, I'm only signing for the kid. It's like, you're not really good enough to say that.
No, yeah, and nor does it like, I don't know, like curry any favor when it's like, I'll only sign for, like you said, like 1 out of 4 people. It's like,
yeah,
you could have just signed for the 3 adults and the 1 kid, and been fine, but whatever.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then so this guy, I think he was kind of lingering around for a while, but this is definitely the highlight of the situation. I guess it was like when the second bus was there. He kind of butted his way. This guy was like maybe in his 30s or something, maybe early 40s. I don't know. He just kind of like bum rushed the barricade and got right behind me, and he just yells like, "Hey, can you give this to Chris Valaika?" And he has like a piece of white paper in his hand, and he yelled it right in my ear, and I just said like "Jesus" like out loud like that, because it was jarring and annoying. It was more so just like, I'm like, stop yelling in my ear, bro. And he yells that, and the only people standing there is the bus driver and was it one of the Cubs security guards? I don't.
Yeah, it was the bus driver and one of the Cubs security guards, and he's yelling incessantly at these people. He's like, "Can someone please give this to Chris Valaika?" And he's got this crumpled up piece of paper in his hand that looks like a receipt from McDonald's. And you said to him, "Yeah, what's that?"
I think it was a receipt.
I think so too. And you actually said to me, but loud enough for him to hear. You're like, "Yeah, none of the people out here are Reds employees right now."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, neither of these people are Reds personnel, like whatever, Reds employees. And also, like, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, like, though the Reds, only the Reds employees would know who Chris Valaika is to begin with. It's like, neither of these people know. Even the security guard who, I forgot, we haven't really settled on a name for him yet, but who knows baseball. I doubt he even knows who Chris Valaika is. But so yeah, and then he because he had said that I had heard him ask for Valaika earlier, and then also
when I got Derek Johnson, I called Johnson over, and then the guy comes up behind me and he asked Derek Johnson, he goes, "Hey, have you seen Chris Valaika?" And Derek Johnson's like, "No, I haven't seen him." And then Johnson signed for me and got on the bus. But so he did ask Derek. So he was asking for Valaika for at least 15 or 20 minutes before he made a scene about it.
And even before that, there was a Cubs employee that came out and he's like, I think like a security guard got another Cubs employee person, and he came out and he's like, and the security guard pointed to the guy, and the Cubs employee walked over and he's like, "Yeah, man, what'd I tell you?" I'm like, "You stand out here and try to get him, and whatever, call for him then or whatever." And he's like, "But you can't stand inside." And so whatever. So finally this guy yells this thing, whatever. And then he yelled it in my ear. I said the thing about the no Reds personnel. He yells it again, and I said like out loud, I'm like, "All right, here we go, round 2." Like when he yelled it a second time. And then he finally he steps back, and I don't know if he said like, they said Chris Valaika, or like, where's Chris Valaika, something like that. I don't know. And then like, I think we finally eventually turned around and told him like, "Hey, Chris Valaika was like one of the first ones on the first bus. He's gone."
Yep. Which is true. It was the truth.
Yeah. Or we said like, Chris Valaika isn't on that bus. And then he goes like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "They told me that I'd be able to find him out here." And like, he's like, "I got this really important message. I got to get to him." I honestly, I feel like we forgot this one thing, because he yelled this out loud maybe the first time he yelled for Valaika, but he goes like, he's like, "I gotta get this note to Chris Valaika. It's from the Ukrainian national baseball team."
Yep.
And we were just like, that was like a record screech, and we both looked at each other and we were like, "What?" And so this guy, we were like, "Yeah, man, he's gone." And he's like, "Oh man," he's like, I'm trying to get this to him. Like, this is from the Ukrainian team. Like, I gotta pass this along to him. They wanted me to get this message to him." and we're just like looking at each other and we're like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. He's not here. Like, he's gone." And like, I don't know if I said like, "You can try tomorrow" or something. I think, or he said like, it's like, "So if I want to try tomorrow, I can come back out here." And we're like, "Yeah, just come out here, whatever." And then we just looked at each other and like, just a head scratcher. Like, it's like, what? Like, why are you the freaking messenger for the Ukrainian national baseball team? Why are you giving him a note on a piece of like a crumpled receipt? And like, what are the circumstances that led to this situation? It's just a complete head scratcher, like head shaker.
Yeah, why is it such a dire circumstance too? Like, is he the mule or whatever? Are they gonna kill this guy if he doesn't get them the message? Like, does he?
Yeah.
Does he owe them a debt or something? It was wild. And then it was almost like that Derek Shelton situation where that years ago that guy wanted to talk to Derek Shelton. It'd been funny if this guy's shitty little piece of paper, just like that instance, the Lithuanian or Ukrainian guy was like, hey, so Chris, 6 months from now, someone is going to be contacting you about something. Because that was the Shelton thing, right? The guy needed to talk to Shelton, and it turned out the message was just a couple months from now, someone's going to be contacting you. And then Shelton actually knew the guy's name better than the guy telling him. It was ridiculous. But, there was no explaining it, Jeremy. Actually, the next day, I had to make a purchase for work with my company credit card, and I almost never get paper receipts for stuff I buy, but I had to because I had to get it for an expense report. So anyway, I get the receipt back, and I'm just kind of walking away, and I've got this like crumpled receipt in my hand, and I was like, shit, where's Chris Valaika when you need him? I could give this to him,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was like the same thing. It looked like the same kind of piece of paper. Man, there was no explaining it. I went the next 2 nights. It almost would have been, it was so cold on Tuesday, but it almost would have been worth it to go back out there just to see if this guy finally made contact with Valaika. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, I kind of forgot about him after that happened, but that was just one of the weirder things. And like, the guy was like nice enough when he talked to us, but it was just like so misguided, so like just confusing. And then I maybe this is the thing that like made us have this moment, but like it's just like, man, these guys just have to deal with so much ridiculousness. You can see why guys sometimes like don't sign for people or ignore people, because it's like, if I walk over to that barricade and sign for these people, someone's gonna say something stupid like, hey, I got a message from the Jewish national baseball team, like they're looking for a sponsor. They're looking for someone to do a commercial for them or something. It's just like, what is this bullshit that you're talking to me about? It's like, let me just sign this autograph and get the hell out of here. Like, what do you want? It was just a head scratcher. Like, just
and even if you're Chris Valaika, right?
Yes,
like, you don't even have to be Mike Trout. It's like people want a piece of you, even if you're Chris Valaika. So it does. I guess it does give you a little empathy for these guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, so that was that. I ended up going to I think it was the getaway day game. It had to be for the Reds. Just real quick about that, I ran into Dennis again in line, and he did say, and this is funny because this is again where it's like we're just playing like catch up or like phone tag like with Dennis, like relaying our, like if we put together like a whole story, like our stories, we can get like a whole picture of Dennis. But I showed up, and Dennis like said to me, he's like, hey Jeremiah. He's like I know you, Jeremy. Yeah, I know your name, Jeremy. And which is funny because immediately when he said that, I'm like, I bet he asked Jack what my name is, and then you
he sure did, Jeremy.
It. Yeah, so like it's funny. So I mean, I will say to Dennis's credit, he asked because he knew he'd see me at some point, and like, he wanted to get the name or something. So that was cool of Dennis. Whatever. I've been seeing him. We've both been seeing him a lot this season. But he goes to Steve. He's like, you know this guy, right? And Steve goes, yeah, I know him. And he's like, yeah, he's always here with his cousin, the white guy. And Steve goes like, yeah, whatever. And I just like laughed, and I texted you about that afterwards.
Yeah.
So that was funny. We get inside and we're graphing, and then so basically the first guy I got was Chase Burns. So it's a pretty nice get. I've gotten a lot of nice like rookies this year, which is pretty cool. But Steve like was right behind us and came up about like 5, 6, 7 minutes after we did, and it sounds like the same situation that Dennis had. And that's when Dennis was like, what happened to you? And he's like, they were searching me. And he's like, well, you missed Chase Burns. And he's like, I would have told him to wait if I knew you were coming, but you were nowhere to be found. And then he's like, oh yeah, whatever. Turns out this guy had gotten Chase Burns before, so I'm like,
sure,
hey, not a big deal. But yeah, so Dennis was just talking to me. We ended up getting a bunch of guys. We got Nick Lodolo, so I should just, closing the loop, at least for me, on some of these guys. We were pretty convinced that Nick Lodolo was a dick. And he still might be, but I kind of said, like, there's no way he comes over and signs. And then he did come over and sign. And then I said to Dennis, I'm like, man, he's always a dick outside. And he's like, and I'm like, I didn't think I'd ever get him. And then Dennis said, like, well, I've gotten them plenty of times. And I'm like, okay, all right, Dennis. Like, I guess it's the truth, but I'm like, you don't, like, what I said doesn't jive at all. And then finally he goes like, yeah, well, he said something like, well, he don't sign at the bus anymore or something like that. He's like, he definitely doesn't sign out there anymore. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm talking about, dude. I'm like, I'm not going to the hotel like you are. So, so that was the thing, but it was whatever, I knocked him off my list. So that's cool, I guess. Got us a handful of other guys too. But yeah, Dennis was just like talking. He was just going on and on about stuff. I have to bring this up because we are planning to go to the next Friday day game, next Friday special, which is Cubs Astros. We're getting to that point where tickets are starting to get pricey. The weather's getting nicer. And so Dennis, I think he asked me, he's like, are you going to that Friday Astros game? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, and so he starts going on about his own situation. He's like, yeah, well, me and my sister, we share a plan. And he's like, but she takes all the day games. And he's like, I just went ahead and I bought my ticket because I didn't want to wait for her to decide if she's going to take me or not. And I'm like, okay, Dennis, all right. And like, and he's like, yeah. So I bought a ticket, and he's like, $30. He's like, it's starting to get expensive, and he's like, the weather could be nice. He's like the tickets could go down. The weather could be bad. They could go down, but they could also go up. and he's just like going on. I'm like, okay, Dennis, I get it. And so like, I will say that the tickets have gone, it's looking like he got a deal for $30, but so now I'm in the process of like looking on all these sites, like for tickets, and I keep seeing like expensive tickets, and I keep hearing him saying like, they could go down, but they could go up. and so like, he's got that ringing in my ear, but I'm just like, he was just getting into this minutia, and like, I'm normally, I think I can get into minutia as well, just listen to any episode of this podcast, but I'm normally not the kind of guy who will like shut someone down for like just getting too much into it, but I'm like, this is a situation where it's like, if I was doing this to Dennis, he'd be like, yeah, okay, enough, like, we're here for autographs. So I'm just like, geez, Dennis, like, just, I know his ticket arrangements with his sister. I know like his thoughts about like, ticket prices. So it was a lot. It was
yeah, Christ. I know his thoughts about, the CPS teachers.
Yeah, right. I know. And also you told me, I told you about this earlier, and you told me that he had that same conversation with you about the tickets. So, yes. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's endearing that he's like telling us these stories or whatever, but also it's like, for some guy who's so like acerbic, you don't have much wiggle room then to like kind of spin a yarn about your ticket agreement with your sister,
No. Yeah, that's crazy. So, Astros will definitely see him, Jeremy. We're going to a White Sox game later this week, and I think the chances are pretty good we'll see him there too.
Yeah, he's like completely inescapable at this point.
Yes, he's inevitable. Was there anything else from the Reds game?
That was it. Got Luis May, who seems like a tough get.
He does.
Couple other guys, and I got TJ Antone. Steve said like he'll sign anything you put in front of him. He's nice or whatever. So I got him, but yeah, that was it. I was saying earlier, like the autographing was finished. We kind of walked over towards like the kind of like grandstand area, and Dennis and Steve kind of just turned, like they were just standing there, and I would kind of stood by them for a little bit, and then they just like walked away, and I'm like, okay, guess we're done here. And then the soda thing, but that was pretty much it.
Right, nice. Yeah, I should say too before I move on to the Marlins that I went to the Cubs game on Wednesday night. Graphed beforehand. I did Gates, and I got Dane Myers and Blake Dunn. So I know you got Myers before, and Dunn was a good get. So yeah, some good graphing for the Reds. But yeah, Thursday and Friday of this week, I went down to Miami to see the Marlins Stadium for the first time. I'd never been there. So Thursday night they played the Orioles. Friday night they played the Nationals. So just a few quick takeaways. The stadium is in I think it's Little Havana. The neighborhood is called. It is weird because there's just wild chickens kind of running around that neighborhood, which just isn't something that you see in Chicago. So the stadium is in a neighborhood, and I was walking up to the stadium, and even when I was about 2 blocks away. The first night I went, there was just nobody. There was no Marlins jerseys. There were nobody who seemed like they were walking to the stadium. And it was less than an hour before the game. And I mean, you go to a Cubs game and there's just people, from blocks away, you see people walking to the stadium with Cubs gear on. Once you get to be about a block away, you can really hear all the action. There's just crowds of people. It's crazy. Even at a White Sox game, most days when you get off the red line, like you see people walking in. Marlins was nothing, man. Like I walked up to the stadium and I walked in and it was me and about 6 other people walking in an hour before the game, maybe less than that, 50 minutes. And it's just like, this is crazy.
Yeah. Very similar to what I was going to say, very similar to what Troy Johnson, I think that's his name, who's on the Rockies now, said about the Marlins.
Really?
He said, I never saw, anyone wearing a Marlins shirt the whole time he was with the team or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, so it was wild, man. You wouldn't have even known there was a game. But at the same time, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I feel like I'm getting the real Marlins experience right now with this. So, I walked in. So both nights I walked from my hotel to the stadium. And it was really freaking hot. There was a heat wave going on in Miami. And so the stadium is air conditioned, which is actually pretty nice. It must cost an arm and a leg to heat that or to air condition it, but anyway, it's cool inside the stadium. The stadium itself was fine. There's not really now that they removed that monolith in the outfield or the home run statue or whatever it was called. It's there's not a lot of personality in the stadium itself, but whatever. It's the seats were good. They were cheap because nobody was attending the game, so I had really good seats both nights. First night I got a pretty sweet ticket down the third base line for $9. The second night I was actually in the lowest bowl in the 6th row, and I got that for $20. It was a Friday night game, so that was crazy. The food is mid. Jeremy, you said when you went there, they did have a Taste of Miami section with a Cuban sandwich, which we found out was now confirmed is now gone. I didn't see it there, and then we looked it up online. It's not there anymore. But I did the first night. I did get a cheesesteak because I was just in the mood for it. I had a taste for one. It does kind of suck when you get a cheesesteak because you're going to be really full after because the cheesesteak is always big. So it's all right, I'm not going to be able to eat too much after this, but I did end up getting a hot dog and churro bites after that. Churro bites were really good. The second night, I got a chili dog, and then I went to the well again and then got another chili dog because the first one was actually pretty good. I got churro bites, and then I got a pizza. So I kind of did it up the second night. I got a lot, Jeremy, but I wanted to sample because I don't think I'm going to come back anytime real soon to that park. So whatever. The food was just unremarkable. It was fine. There were a couple funny things.
I was gonna say that sounds like a Jeremy type order there. So congrats on that.
Yeah, well, sometimes you get something, man, and you're like, my only regret is I didn't get 2. And when you're on vacation, you can get 2. So I did it up in that respect. A couple funny things from the game. This was the second night. So first of all, this is my 4th time seeing the Nationals this year, so I feel like I know that team like the back of my hand. But Joey Wiemer, who I don't think has hit a home run since that first series in Chicago against the Cubs. He's got 3 homers now. He might have hit them all in that series. And he's still hitting 300, so I think that series has just carried him for the first month and a half of the season. But anyway, he was playing right field, and it was about the 6th inning or so. And there was an 0-1 count. And then second pitch of the at-bat, he does a check swing. And it really didn't look like he went, but the home plate umpire said he went. and like there was no appeal. Like I guess the home plate umpire just called it a strike, and Joey Wiemer didn't like that at all. And so he was actually jawing at the home plate umpire just during the at bat, like in the box. They jawed back and forth for a while. Nothing happened, and Wiemer got back in the box. It might have been the very next pitch that Wiemer got called out on strikes, and he was really pissed. Like, but he knew that strike 3 was a strike, so he just like stormed back to the dugout. I was sitting down the first baseline, like probably about 15 feet past first base, and I was like, all right. And Joey Wiemer's playing right field, so naturally he was going to cross right by me. I was like, all right, I'm going to watch Wiemer here because I bet he's still really upset about that at bat. So he gets to about first base as he's running into the outfield, and I see him scream, "Fuck!" And so I was like, all right, yep, he's pissed about that. So he gets out to right field, and then the Nationals bullpen is in right field. So Wiemer is the one who plays catch with the bullpen catcher when they're warming up between innings. And so the catcher throws the ball to Wiemer. The first ball he throws at the bullpen catcher, like he launches it over the bullpen catcher's head, and it almost goes into the bullpen. It hits like the top of the tall wall in right field. So the catcher has to run to go get it. They throw a few more balls back and forth. Wiemer is just gunning him in there at like 90 miles an hour. And then finally, when it's time for the half inning to end, Wiemer, they always throw the ball into the crowd. Wiemer, he takes the ball and he throws it as hard as he possibly can into the third deck in right field. There's nobody there. The ball just bounces off into oblivion, and then Wiemer turns around and gets ready to play defense. I was like, that was freaking amazing, man. I bet I'm the only person in the whole stadium who noticed that, especially whipping the ball into the third deck at about 90 miles an hour. That was crazy. Like, what a little fucking crybaby for getting called out on strikes. It was insane.
That's funny. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Mitchell was it Mitchell Parker thing? Although that was just being a knucklehead or something. But yeah, that's funny. Or like Bauer threw the ball into the stands, Zambrano threw the ball into like center field.
Yep.
But that's funny for sure.
It was wild, man, and it was one of those things you only notice if you go to as many games as we do. And so that was cool. The other thing was that there were these people behind me. It was like a whole family. It was like a dad, a mom, and they were both older, and then kids that were probably about 30. It was like maybe they had 2 sons and their girlfriends. But just I could hear everything they were saying because there was nobody else in the stadium. It was quiet, and so it came about that one of the kids maybe played baseball with Brad Lord in like college or something, or he knew Brad Lord in college. Because it's like these people were just talking about Brad Lord, and I was like, these people don't know baseball well enough to know who the fuck Brad Lord is. So eventually it came out that one of them knew Brad Lord. And so the guy said at one point, he's like, the Nationals are staying at the Ritz. And I wanted to turn around and put my finger up to my lips and go, shh, because I'm sure that's what Dennis would have done, right? So if the Dennis of Miami is listening to this podcast, sorry, pal, but I'm going to blow up the spot. Like the Nationals and probably a lot of other teams stay at the Ritz. And then I Googled the Ritz, and it looks like it's right on Miami Beach. It's like, $600-700 a night. So I'm guessing that when visiting players come to Miami, if that's the hotel they stay at, they probably like coming here, despite how terrible the atmosphere is for the game. So that was it was a fun trip, Jeremy. That it's not a stadium I feel like I would return to. There's a few I've been to, like Pittsburgh, that aren't like the obvious ones like Fenway Park. Like Pittsburgh, I would definitely see another game at. But Marlins Park, it was good, but there's other ones I'd go to again before that.
It's crazy, and I think this is all because of Derek Jeter. But like, it's crazy how so I went in 2016, I guess. So that was 10 years ago. But I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, okay, so Wrigley Field has changed a lot in 10 years, but I would say for the better. I feel like it's rare to find it. I mean, I guess it's indicative of the franchise, but it's like, wow, like it's like an old shopping mall or something. It's like, wow, this place has changed in 10 years. Like, cause like I think my experience with the not that it's like a, beautiful stadium or anything. It's kind of like whatever. But I remember having like cool food options. I did think that sculpture was cool. Like, I know that it's, a little weird for like regular baseball, like conservative baseball fans or whatever. But like, it's crazy how much difference that time can make in between visits.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean, Christ, you think what Wrigley Field was like in 2014 or something when they didn't have that scoreboard up there. And that's 12 years, but still, it's a big difference. So what was once seemed like a stadium with a little bit of personality now has just completely had all of that sapped out of it. They still had the bobblehead museum, which was cool to look at, being a fan of bobbleheads, but I've forgotten about Jeter, and the tragic part is I think he's no longer even associated with that franchise, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know for sure. I feel like I've blocked that out.
Sure.
But yeah, like I was reading. Okay, so just and we're gonna wrap up after this. But I was kind of, my mind was kind of blown because I was kind of like looking up like info about the Marlins Park when you were there, and I found out that the artist who designed the sculpture in center field is a guy by the name of Red Grooms. And I went to this museum in New York back in February called the Museum of Moving Image. And there's a really cool installation of this whole like kind of like King Tut movie theater sort of thing. And it's this whole like immersive experience that you walk into. And like it's painted like really cool. And it kind of looks like the Pee Wee Herman artwork. I know that's Gary Painter, but like it just was really cool. I thought like the artwork was really cool, and I found out that this guy also did the Marlins statue, which is crazy. And it turns out he's a New York artist, or he's actually from like Tennessee or something, but he's based in New York, and he got commissioned to do the statue by Jeffrey Loria, who was like a New York art guy. So he made that, and like fans were torn on it because it's like it's a little weird, but it's art. And Jeter had it like removed, and there was this whole thing where like they were gonna have to pay like I don't know if it's 2.5 million or 5 million or 25, something crazy, to Miami, because if they removed it, Red Grooms was going to take his name off of it and disavow the sculpture, thus devaluing it. And then and it's owned by the city of Miami, so like it was a whole thing, and it's all because Jeter just like wanted it out of there or something. Yeah. So it's so ridiculous. But yeah, check out Red Grooms. He's got cool artwork. He did something for Chicago, and he's like 83 years old. I kind of want to meet him because especially now knowing about the Marlins thing. So not that he's not necessarily a baseball fan, but it's a cool thing, and it does add character at the very least. And like they just took it away, so whatever.
Yeah. So definitely a disappointment, but it was another ballpark off the list. So for that, I can't fault it.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, folks. Well, there you go. Lot to recap in these last couple weeks. Jack mentioned we'll be going to a White Sox Royals game this week.
Yeah.
So we'll have a little recap of that. We got some other like Cubs games lined up. I have a little bit of free time here. I will be going out of town, but got some free time. Got some games coming up, some Friday specials in the mix. So
that's right.
We'll have a lot to cover over the next couple of weeks, and try not to skip a beat.
Yeah, hell yeah. So for Rain Delay Theater, I'm Jack Swakowski.
And I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
We'll see you next time.
Later.